Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Injustice 2. In this video, I'm going to be giving you kind of a tutorial slash lesson on Wonder Woman. Now, to be honest with you, I think this character is kind of underrated right now in the game. She's not amazing. Don't expect a top tier character if you're gonna be playing Wonder Woman. However, she's not terrible. I think she's got a lot of quality of life improvements in the last patch, mainly regarding her frame data. So she definitely has some potential, and I'm gonna kind of hopefully show it off today. So, Wonder Woman, what's her game plan? Well, I think she's a really strong kind of mid-range character. She really wants to keep the opponent at kind of this distance because she has all these whip normals, back 2, down 2, jumping 3, all of these amazing long-range normals, as well as a decent mid projectile. Now, this is a fairly unique projectile in the sense that it, of course, doesn't go full screen. So Wonder Woman definitely cannot contest with the really strong full screen zoners. Against those characters, you want to be up close. She also has fairly good air control. She has the shield toss in the air, which is actually a really good air projectile, and she can also throw it to the ground, which can be instant aired. It can be done really low off the ground. She also has fairly good damage, a parry, so she has all the tools. One of the things she really lacks is reliable mobility. So from this distance, you are gonna have a lot of trouble getting in on the zoners. She doesn't have an amazing forward dash. It actually takes fairly long to recover. Doesn't have an air dash except when she's traded. And of course, if you know anything about this character, you know that the trait is random. So yeah, she kind of struggles in that area, but once she gets close, she can do some damage. She's not really a mix-up character. Her overhead is back 2, but she can mainly do it into the string, which is back 2 3. This is actually +4 on block, so fairly good. The other thing, of course, that she can do is Lasso or meter burn Lasso, which deals a fair bit of damage. She does have some stuff in the corner. She can combo off this in the corner, but mid-screen, that's all she can get. So yeah, that's her overhead, very good. Her low is her forward 2. Now, compared to the overhead, this is definitely not as good. For how bad the range on this is a very slow normal, and it can be interrupted. So in terms of the low, you're mainly gonna be using this in combos. However, like I said, even though she doesn't have many good mix-ups, what Wonder Woman does have is great space control. This down 2 is, maybe along with Scarecrows and maybe Brainiacs, one of the best down 2s in the game. It covers a huge area. Basically, if your opponent tries to jump, you can anti-air him. And of course, you can convert off of it. Same thing with the jump 3, covers huge range. This jump 3, again, if done at the correct distance, can be comboed off. Not huge damage, but you know, if you can get any sort of damage on your opponent, it is well worth it. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some of her combos. One of the main problems with Wonder Woman is that her BMBs are actually fairly tricky to pull off. So this is what one of her BMBs would look like. And I am recording this live, so if I don't get this the first time, I do apologize. See, there it is. We'll talk about this later. There we go. So that's one of her BMBs. It does almost 400 damage, so decent damage for 1 bar. The problem is that getting the bounce from the 4-2-3 can be fairly tricky. I think that's kind of the part most people struggle with. And of course, you can do this off the low. You cannot do this off the overhead, like I explained, but you can do this off the low. Now, the easiest way I found to do this combo, if you're having trouble doing it consistently, is to watch Wonder Woman's feet. As soon as her feet touch the ground from this move, that's when you can cancel into the bounce. Of course, if you do it too early, it's gonna not come out. If you do it too late, it's gonna whiff. However, again, with practice, you can get it. That's how I learned it, is I watched her feet. So that's one of her BMBs. That's actually her main BMB. Now, how do you get this BMB to come out without any sort of mix-ups? Well, the real objective here with Wonder Woman is to utilize her plus frames. She has a lot of plus strings. This is +2, and this is a fairly decent string, even though it's a high. It does end in an overhead. +2. A lot of her stuff is safe, as you can see. This is one that's not safe, but this move is very good because you can stagger it. So you can just go for the down one and go into the full string if you want. You can, of course, special cancel this, go into a full combo. However, the main string that you really want is this, War Killer. Thing about this string is that it is +12 on block. Now, let's set our opponent to always guard. Oops, a bit too early there. Too early. Now, if I go set the AI to jump. Shit, well, still terrible at navigating these menus. Do you see how long it takes him to jump after I do that? Let me try and show off that again. So always, and AI movement mode jump. Do you see how long it takes him to move? Kind of a bad demonstration, but that sort of explains it. This string is +12. So that means that any move that has a startup faster than 12 frames, which is most of her stuff, 10 frames, 6 frames, 11 frames, is basically guaranteed. So if your opponent tries to do anything but respect this move, which, believe me, a lot of people disrespect, you are going to be getting the full combo. Now, what do you do once your opponent starts respecting it? You grab. So she does have options. She does have options to get her offense started. In terms of mobility, she has her shield dash. This is one of her wake-ups. Now the thing about this is, just like Brainiac's slide, the invincibility on this is not great. So you can be hit out of this. Her other wake-up is this. Now of course this is a lot more unsafe. You can cancel it into decent damage. This is her other wake-up, so I mostly go for this if I need to wake up because I find it a lot more reliable than this. However, this can be a good move. Like, you do something like this, your opponent tries to go in, and you can just basically push them away. Meter burn it, and it's +2, you're safe. It also works, of course, full screen. And the recovery on this is not as bad as you think, so you can whiff it if you want. And it's not like Blue Beetle's slide. If you whiff it, it's not death, so you can go into stuff after it. So that's always an option. Definitely utilize this. Of course, if you're getting really zoned out, mostly you'll have to be patient, but we'll get into that later as well. So yeah, she really is a character that's more about pressure, because even if your opponent blocks this, you can go into one of these strings, and 90% of the time you're going to be safe. Even if you're not going to be safe, you can always cancel into the shield bash. So that's kind of her game plan in terms of how she can open up the opponent and what she needs to do. Again, this is the range you want to stay at with Wonder Woman because that's where she excels. Maybe up close as well, if you know what I mean. She can be fairly frustrating to get in on, especially if you're playing a character without a projectile like the Flash. Maybe even Cheetah. I don't know. Everyone has a projectile in this game, but you know. Now, finally, before we end, let's go ahead and talk about two things. First of all, her parry. If you've played Kotal Khan in MKX, you'll be kind of familiar with this. Not as good as Kotal Khan's, of course, because it cannot be meter burned. Bracelets of Submission. You can parry projectiles and basic attacks, and you'll get a short damage buff. Again, just like Kotal Khan. So this move is really good for parrying single attacks. Because as you can see, it's not like Kotal Khan's where you can just kind of like machine gun it and block multiple attacks. So if your opponent is doing a string, it's not going to work. However, if your opponent tries to wake up, actually I wanna demonstrate it, because if you do it correctly, you will get the counter to show up, the little counter icon. God damn it. I managed to do it before. There we go. You see that? That means that this is not something that Brainiac would be able to block. And if you look at a BMB from this, let's imagine we got a counter. You'll see that the damage is significantly higher. Well, about 20 points higher. So that's her parry. Again, for wake up heavy opponents, it can be very good. Finally, let's go into her trait. This is kind of the big thing that people complain about. The fact that Wonder Woman's trait is random. And to be honest, I kind of agree and I kind of don't. See, the problem is that a lot of her trait options are not actually that good. For example, the one I have now is the damage buff. Like, if her trait was actually selectable, why would you ever go for anything other than the damage buff or the damage reduction? Because she has some that increases the damage on her shield. This is the one that's really good, the one that gives her an air dash. I honestly think, this is just a personal opinion, that Wonder Woman should have an air dash by default. I think if this character is gonna receive a change, it should be that she should have an air dash, because that would improve a lot of her in a lot of areas where she struggles now, which is kind of getting in. Got it again. But again, this trait is pure luck, and unfortunately some of the options are a lot better than others. Let's go and look at these. First of all, you have Demeter. It buffs resilience, so she takes reduced damage. Very good. If you get this, be happy. Artemis's strength increases the duration and power of the buff after bracelets of submission. This one is very situational, because you have to get this and have to be in a situation where you just happen to parry an attack, so very situational. This buffs the shield and increases the damage of shield attacks. Honestly, not that good, because the shield already is decent. Allows shield toss to absorb projectiles, maybe if you counter zone, but the problem is it doesn't go full screen, so there's that. Hestia buffs the lasso. Fairly good if you're in the corner, maybe, because you can go for a lot of lasso stuff, but not amazing. This is probably one of the worst ones. And of course Hermes, which is mobility. See, I got Hestia. If I go for something like this, you see that it does a fair bit more damage. That did 270. And this does 233. So yeah, overall, again, I feel like if her trait was selectable, you might as well take away some of them, because some of them are things people are never gonna go for. You can also go for a reset there, but it's kind of a gimmick. Overall, I really think you should try out Wonder Woman if you haven't already. She's a fun character, very offensive, and if you want to kind of break up the habit of constantly seeing just like Supergirls and Batmans and Deathshots, definitely give her a try. I'm not gonna say she doesn't struggle, because she does struggle in some areas, mainly against zoners, which is like only 80% of the cast, but that's okay. However, once she gets in, she can be very difficult to deal with. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this little kind of Wonder Woman tutorial. She is fun. If I play more online, which I'm gonna be getting to more online soon, especially once the games start becoming 3 out of 5, I'll definitely play her because she does do well. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.